is 6:32. We will take a roll call first and see who's present. Deborah Oaks,
Present.
Paige McMahon,
Present.
Nancy Jorgensen,
Present.
Carol Marsh,
Present.
Steve Sally,
Present.
Nora Johnsmeyer,
Present.
and I am Bernadette McLeod, and the chair tonight, and I am present. So tonight we have two orders of business on the agenda. The first is an application for new signage, changing the former business Nauset Grill to 10 yen at 56 Main Street, units 1 and 2. So we have the applicant. Are you here?
I am.
Okay. Oh, Michael, hi. Okay, so why don't you just give us a little synopsis of what you're doing and explain your signs, and we'll go from there.
Absolutely. So as Bernadette said, I'm taking over the old Nauset Grill, opening a 20-seat sushi and ramen bar for hopefully this coming spring in May. There were two signs there formerly. One was a long rectangular sign, which is above the awning, the blue awning from the front of the building. And then the second one was a rectangular metal sign on the side of the building facing towards Post Office Square. So I just wanted to use the same locations more or less for my two new signs. So the first one on the front of the building is wooden pine stained with a clear coat with wrought iron metal letters on the front of it. It's roughly the same size as the old sign from Nauset Grill. The one on the side of the building that's proposed is a custom metal sign that I got from a company online that matches our logo. It's 3 feet wide by 5 feet tall. Again, roughly occupying the same space as the old sign.
Okay. And are you going to have a sign on the a ladder sign at all, or no?
You know, I may, because I misunderstood the rules. I thought it was 2 signs, not 3 signs, including a ladder sign. And plus I was kind of up against it for this deadline, and I knew I needed to see you guys. So if I need to do it, I'll apply again.
Okay. All right. Anybody have any questions? Members, identify yourself and then ask your question. And then I forgot to tell you all, but when we do make a motion, it's confusing for Melanie. So if somebody makes a motion, just say who you are first. And if you second it, say who you are first so that she can write that down accurately.
Okay.
Any questions? Anybody about the signs? Nancy?
Did you provide the building department? First of all, welcome to Orleans. And
Thank you.
I'm curious to know, did you provide the building department with any color samples of the signs?
So I talked to Bernadette a little bit about this. I actually didn't even know there was a sign permit requirement in Orleans until Tom Evers came and knocked on the window, thankfully, a couple weeks ago. So the colors are, I think when the rules were drafted, it was like more of like a wooden sign sort of thing. There's no specific color to match the metal sign, and the wooden sign obviously doesn't have any paint. It's just the metal lettering on top of pine. So the rendering that I gave with the custom logo signs design proposal, those are going to be the closest color swatches to the actual sign. And then I put a picture of the actual sign up so you could match kind of what the proposed color was versus the actual color. But since it's a custom color that they kind of create within the program and then spray onto the sign, it's impossible to get like a sample color or a chip past what their design proposal provides.
Okay. My second question is there any reason why you didn't have the 2 signs match?
Well, I think the primary one was cost. This was a sign that I took from this new metal sign I just had made for this location. The old sign I actually had at my former location on Harwichport, roughly the same size, and it had a little bit of I don't know, brand equity to it. So I figured I would use it here and see how it went.
Is it going to go in the same location up over the awning
Yes,
as the old Nauset sign?
exactly. Yes,
And so units 1 and 2 are the right side of the building. 1 and 2 is the existing space where Nauset Grill was.
correct.
It doesn't go over to the barber shop, say?
No.
Okay, thanks. I have more questions, but I'll let somebody else talk.
This is Debbie. I don't have any questions. I think it looks great. And welcome to Orleans. This is an awesome addition to Main Street.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I have a lot of clientele in Orleans, so I'm happy to finally get here.
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
This is Nora Johnsmeyer. I have a question. Is the location that you mentioned in Harwich, is that still open or did you move locations?
So I opened in Harwich originally in 2016. I partnered up with a couple people from the restaurant in the back of the building, the Mad Minnow, and we opened up Three Monkeys. That still exists in the space, which was formerly 10 Yen. Excuse me. But 10 Yen is now only going to be in Orleans.
Oh, wow.
I
Yeah,
see.
so this
Okay.
is going to be, yeah.
Awesome.
That's great.
Very
Thank you.
exciting.
Well, then I'll ask my other questions. Anybody else? I'm curious as to what the committee thinks as far as the size of the sign being over 15 square feet.
You're talking about the side of the building sign.
Yes.
So I did notice just visually driving through town, the sign is already up, correct?
Yes, it is up.
Yeah, so I've seen it a few times and it definitely caught my eye because of the sign. Like visually, it's pretty large.
There's
But
no other concerns about the size being over 15 square feet?
if we look at our allowable dimensions, well, you only have to
How
be
big is,
10,
how
you only
big
have to
is
be
it?
10 feet away from the property line to be 15 square feet.
And it is.
It's not even the highest amount of square footage. It's only the, I don't know. I don't have an issue with it.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with it either.
I think it actually fills the space pretty nicely.
I mean, I calculated the sign space just based on what the open available space was to center it. So that's where I came up with that number.
Uh-huh.
It isn't that I don't like the sign. I'm just concerned about us approving a sign that's larger than 15 square feet attached to a building.
Well,
Doesn't
how
take
far
up
away,
any
how
space.
far away from the property line is it?
It's
Do we
about
know?
8 feet, 9 feet.
But
It's
that's
within the
well,
10 feet limit.
that's well within the guidelines.
Fine, right.
And it's not even the highest number of square footage allowed. It's
Right.
a second max area highest. So why is that a concern? I don't really get it.
I think, well, it says, I read, and it says in the code here, it has to be maximum area 15 square feet. I'm just saying
Well,
that
it says
we're,
maximum height 6 feet and his is 5 feet. And it's 3 feet wide, right?
Correct.
But if you calculated, it's not square. So if you calculated exactly how many square feet it was, it may be even less,
okay,
right? Because the 5 feet includes the top and the bottom,
Right.
the black part.
yeah. I don't want to, I mean, I don't think we should get up there with a tape measure, but I just think it's above the square footage and it's not, it's attached. I just think it's too large for the area that it's in.
Where are you? You know, on the form that is submitted here, it says if you're 3 to 10 feet from the property line,
Right,
the maximum height is 6 feet.
right.
We're under 6 feet, And the maximum area is 15 square feet.
That's maximum height for freestanding signs. This sign is attached to the wall,
Well,
to the building.
Well,
if anything,
we-
that would be less of an issue to me than if it was freestanding.
Freestanding, right.
It's right on the building, so it's not taking up space. I don't know.
right, and it's 15 square feet, so it's up to the limit, and it's not over the limit, and it's there already, and he already purchased it, and I think it's a great sign. I like it.
Thank you.
I don't even think it's that big.
Any other comments?
Steve asked the question. So am I to understand that it is in fact a conforming sign?
Yes.
Thank you.
Seems to me it is.
I disagree, but that's okay.
Well, I mean, maybe you can,
I just,
I mean, there isn't
Bernadette.
any way to make it smaller. If it's 15 feet, it meets the criteria.
Bernadette, it's already up. The committee, the majority of the committee already approves of it. And I just think that we just have to be careful in setting a precedent as we move
Right.
forward. And I understand, I'm really pleased that this business is in town. Please don't misconstrue my statements or my comments. But we're I don't want to set a precedent. I don't want to agree to something that just because it's already up and it's retroactive and it's after the fact.
Right.
That's all. Otherwise, the next one comes and theirs is up on the wall, and then it goes and it continues and can continue. And I'm a little bit concerned about that. I just want it, maybe we'll reflect it in the approval, the language of the approval. But I just think we just need to be very careful about retroactively approving, and also in these times, being careful about what's approved in the language that is used. That's all.
Steve makes a comment, please. Is it that the building official, Mr. Evers, is the final decision maker as to whether the sign conforms or not? So it's a yes or no question. I do agree with Nancy that we do have to be careful, especially about approving things retroactively.
Right. I think that's the issue. This is Paige, is that it's being done retroactively.
It says on the application, I'm sorry, Paige, I apologize. I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's okay.
It says on the application, 3 by 6, 18 square feet. All right, so
It's 20 feet from the setback. So if it is 20 feet from the setback, then it is allowed to be larger.
32 square feet, right?
So I think that may be, that may be something that needs to be,
I would like us, Bernadette, when we write the approval, and obviously the committee is going to approve it, that we indicate in the approval something that says it's a retroactive approval, and it's something, some language in there that does not,
Wait a minute. I'm going to say, we've approved a couple of signs already for people who put them up during COVID, and we
Right.
didn't, the business is not open yet. He put the
Right.
sign up, obviously not
Right.
knowing so why is it that, I don't see where that's an issue. His sign is conforming. It meets the size
I agree
requirements.
with you, Debbie. I don't think the sign is conforming. I don't think
Where is it
conforming.
not conforming?
It's over
Where,
15
how does it not
square-
conform?
well, wait,
But
we
it's
don't
also-
know where
he's-
the setback is from. We
From
don't
the
know.
property.
We
I
don't know
am
where-
going to agree with the majority of the committee, but the committee doesn't know. I went over there, that it's not over 10 feet from the property line. And it's over 15 square feet. It should be noted in our approval.
But where is the property line? How do you know where the property line is?
If you look at the drawing, go to the last page. It appears that the property line is right where the parking lot starts on that side of the building. I believe it's the last page of the application.
Mhm.
Assuming that is accurate, and I do assume it's accurate, it looks like that was the property line.
The parking
sorry.
lot doesn't match the property line.
Wait, Michael, do you know where the property line is? Where did you come up
Well,
with 20 feet?
So I measured it from our side based on this, which was the 2 rows of parking plus from the street, and both were around 20 feet. One was more than 20 feet, so I just took the shorter number. So like if you see the highlighted area, that's the side of the building.
Right.
And then to the right of that, you have those markings. I took that to be the parking lot on the side, 2 rows of parking spaces.
That belong to the building?
Yeah, so Post Office
I mean,
Square,
it's
I
all-
believe the same
it's
gentleman, go ahead.
Post Office Square, is it part of Post Office Square?
It is, yeah, so 56 and 58 are both owned by the same landlord.
So that whole parking area is not, that's not the property line. The property line is the street.
All the way
Yeah,
up to
so,
the parking lot.
right, so it's much more than that then.
If you're considering that the property line, then you're absolutely correct.
Because that's all one property. All of Post Office Square is one property,
Fine,
including the parking lot.
fine.
Right.
In which case it's not non-conforming. So there's
And
no,
I do want to say, I apologize for putting the sign up early. I didn't mean to, do anything out of school.
We
And I
didn't,
appreciate it.
I didn't think that you
Did.
did. These are crazy times now. I have no other comments.
I appreciate your flexibility. Yeah.
Can I entertain a motion?
this is Debbie. I'll make a motion. I move the application be approved as submitted.
Second page.
All those in favor? Deb,
Aye.
Paige,
Aye.
Nancy,
No,
Steve,
Aye.
Bernadette, aye. The motion passes.
Nora.
No, they don't
I
vote.
don't vote as an alternate.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank
Sorry.
you, though. Thank you, Paige.
You're welcome.
The motion passes 4-1-0. 4-1-0. Good luck, Michael.
Thank
And
you
when
very
do-
much.
When do you plan on opening, Michael?
I'm hoping for early May. We'll see how that goes, but I think that taking a little bit of extra time in preparation is probably a good thing this year. So early May is the hope.
Well, good luck.
Thank you very much.
Melanie will be emailing you something and you sign it, and then if you can scan it and send it back or get it back so that we can all approve it, and then you can go to the building department and pay your fees and get your permit.
Okay, wonderful.
Okay. All
Thank
righty.
you.
Good.
Thank you very much. Have a nice evening, everybody.
Good
Thank-
night.
You as well.
Okay.
All right, next on the agenda. Now, what happened to Carol? She was on here and now I don't see her. Is she off? Is she off the air? maybe? I don't know. I don't see her.
Looks like
Okay,
she's
next.
on here, but her camera and mic are off.
Oh, okay. All right. So next on the agenda, we have a preliminary review for Penrose LCC, Orleans Cape Cod 5 Development, 19 West Road. So, who is representing Penrose?
Hi, everyone. I'm here representing Penrose. My name is Rio Sacchetti. I'm also here along with my colleague from Penrose, Charlie Adams. And thank you for the opportunity tonight to review the redevelopment of our the Cape Cod 5 Bank building into new mixed income apartments. We also have along with us our design team, who I believe they're all on right now. So we have, maybe you guys could just put your hand up so they know who you are. We have our architect, Andrew Stebbins from the architectural team, our landscape architect, Mish Crowley from Crowley Cottrell, and our civil engineer, Joe Henderson with Horsley Witten.
Okay, so good evening.
Yes, good evening. We have a presentation
Great.
that I was wondering, hopefully you'd allow us to present if we can share a screen.
Sure.
Okay,
That's
great.
great.
And I'm going to let Andrew, the architect, walk through that just before we get into it. I just want to say, we're really excited about the project. We've taken a collaborative approach with the town, who we consider, very much a partner with us in the project. We've been working with the CPC for funding. We've also been working with the select board on a community benefits agreement with the town. And then on the design side, to date, we've gone through both the informal and a formal site plan review, and we presented to the ZBA. We're actually scheduled to go back to the ZBA again next week. So we're very excited about the project. We're looking forward to your feedback tonight. And I think with that, I'll turn it over to our architect, Andrew.
Oh, great.
All right, thank you, Rio. Thank you. I just want to reiterate what Rio said. Thanks for all getting together and coming together and reviewing the project with us. It's been a great process so far, so we're really excited to be here. My name is Andrew Stebbins. I'm a senior project manager here at the architectural team. Excited to be working with Penrose again, quality mixed income housing projects. We've worked with them before. Our firm has a long history. This is our celebrating our 50th year. We do a lot of, our company was built on rehabilitations, and I've done a lot of them myself in the last 24, 25 years. Not sure if I've ever done a rehabilitation of a bank before, but we're excited about this project because it is a particularly good candidate for rehabilitation, and especially in the housing. And so we'll go through that and the reasons why we think so. On the screen here, you see the existing conditions. Aerial from Google, Cape Cod 5 cent savings bank with the entrance from West Road, and the large expanse of parking that exists on site. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run through the site plan or review some of the site plan elements. I'm going to touch upon a few of the revisions that we've made, just so you know when and why or where certain things are the way they are, because we've had some great feedback from the town that we've been addressing. So let me try to get this presentation mode up here. Everybody seeing that site plan?
Yeah, we see it.
Yes.
Great. So as you can tell from the existing aerial, we're dealing with an existing structure here. Actually, this was built in 2 phases. The original building is this simple rectangle, and then they added on here and changed the front entrance here. The other, so that's one existing element we're maintaining, obviously. The other existing element that we're really looking to maintain is we like the boulevard feel of the entry here. So we really worked hard to try to keep that, and we've had some revisions based on that and the feedback from the site plan review and the fire department. So the site, you can see we greatly reduce the amount of paved area here. The addition, as you can see here, is in the rear of the site, really not in view of from West Road, and really nestled well in there. I feel like the building creates a nice, sort of nestles you in and creates a nice courtyard sequence here, which we'll get into a little bit more. And we've set up some program elements for the site that we feel will be great benefits to the users and the general public. So as you come in to the site here from West Road, you can see we have the playground and public seating area and a community garden and picnic area. It should be noted that this area currently is paved, and so we're going to imagine that as a outdoor amenity space. Nearby here, we have this connector to the Skakit Corners Plaza here, which we intend to keep to get easy access from our site to the adjacent site. You can see around the back of the building, we have a walking trail, and this doubles as a fire lane. Work with the fire department. They did want a fire access around the building. It's one of the revisions that we made and were able to accommodate. We also have some walking trails to the north of the site. The north of the site is going to remain largely untouched, except for a small walking path. And we have a townhome shared patio here for groups to sort of be able to convene and enjoy the natural setting in the back. And then not necessarily a natural amenity, but there is a piece of the civil design that we feel like, and we like to do this on the project, is really thinking about stormwater design, not just a throwaway item, but make it a sort of an amenity or a visual piece here. So we have two stormwater rain garden areas. So these will be nicely maintained, nicely planted. So we have one here between the two townhouse buildings, another along near the front entrance here. So it's going to run through a few of the adjustments that we made through the process so far. Like I said, we had some great feedback from various groups in town. One is we really wanted to keep this boulevard, as I had mentioned before. The previous design had two 5-unit townhouses, so 10 units in townhouses, and it was creating an issue where we're having difficulty parking it and having safe entrance. And this is a very appropriate width for an angle parking, but we had tried to put some head-in parking. So we revised the parking, and we actually reduced the townhouse. We were able to fit 2 additional units into the flats building and reduce the built area, which is very nice. It's a win for the site as well, to reduce the disturbed area on the site. And then we also created, took a look at the civil engineer, nice job sort of massaging this area of the roadway so that a large passenger vehicle, I think it was an F-150 that Joe had accommodated, so people can come in and turn around here instead of having to go down. There are other opportunities to turn around in the site, but figured this was a better option for these townhouse users. I did mention the fire department comments, which was getting the fire lane around the back. We also have some areas along the entrance. The amenity patio where they can pull in and get closer to the building and get ladder access. So they were happy with our revisions and accommodating them. And then we also were mindful how to address a landscape buffer for the parking here. So all the other parking areas are sort of buffered naturally by structure being far away. These at the north side here, we address this by some new plantings. So that's the crux of the site. I was going to jump in and run through the exhibits that we had sent. I know we had sent an updated version. We're really just repackaging what we had sent the previous week. We added some 3D images, which we find are helpful in describing the architecture. So let me jump into the architectural plans here. So here's I just want to go through a few of the existing additions because, as you know, there's an existing building on site, and like I said, it's very well suited for conversion into residential use. You can see the color coding. This is the original building here, the original front door along here. Their first addition when the bank took over and moved the entrance, and then our proposed addition around here. So what you notice immediately is it's really not a bank looking building. So it's a really nice sort of neoclassical. It's got these pilasters, really nice entablature, really nicely scaled and really nicely portioned windows. So it's really great as a rehabilitation for residential. Really excited about it. The challenge with the building is wasn't designed for was designed a while or built long ago, and we now have new energy requirements that we try to meet. Affordable housing and mixed income housing. The funding agencies like to see a very efficient building. So for efficiency's sake, we will be removing the siding and reapplying it. But we'll really be pretty much more or less matching what was there with the lap siding and keeping the same sort of proportions. So the sort of back of the site or rear of the site, but the front of the building, the grade drops down. It's 3 stories. So we're proposing to keep the brick here, here and here. How can we do that with energy? Well, these aren't units. So this is a common area lobby, and then this is like 1/3 of this is a stair. So it's really we're not as hypersensitive to the energy use at those areas. And then the limited areas that will remain as brick, they're so small in relation to the overall square footage of the building that the energy modeling and the energy performance will certainly exceed the code and the stretch code as well. But here's just a shot at, once again, you see the pilasters, the entablature. This piece is not being touched at all, cleaned, obviously, new windows, but the facade treatment will remain in place. So proposed, this looks very similar to the existing because that's what we're looking to maintain. Entablature, pilasters, some modifications to get the units to work. Generally, we did take a look at the units. They did box them all out. We found there's a couple of areas that required some new openings just to make sure we had 2 windows in the living room and at least one in the bedroom. And so there are, I think there's 3 locations where that happened. And then there's another one here where we need to fill in because we have a demising wall here. But really keeping the same treatment, lap siding. What we'd like to do is slightly darken the gray. Gray is a great color. It's very traditional, very New England. It makes it for a great backdrop for landscaping. It's a friendly color. It's easy on the eyes. It's durable, flexible. Sorry. But what we'd like to do is darken the building a bit, just so that the white trim can pop and have a little bit of a little more weight to it. And here's a snapshot of the rear of the building, just to show the relationship of the existing building to the addition. So these are not new roof lines. The roof lines already do this, and the pilasters are actually very similar to what we sort of remove and replace or reinstall new if the removal doesn't go well. And then what we're proposing here is to give a little bit of flavor to the building and break it up a little bit, is to switch in these special locations from a gray to a blue gray, just to have a little bit of modulation through the facade. This building obviously is lining up floor to floor, accessibility issue, so it makes sense. It is a bit higher than we would normally do if we were building from ground up, but it's not so limiting that it's an issue. Same thing with the top floor here. We felt like it was a better solution to sort of tie in the addition to the existing building, even though traditionally we wouldn't necessarily build a top plate that's high, but it's still workable, and we thought it was a good idea to maintain that. So here's a view of the existing entry. You can see the neoclassical, Neo-Georgian pilaster treatment that's going to remain. PVC trim. This is one of the new opening. I think nope, this one. This was the new set of openings that from the existing that we're going to be providing. And this is at the oblique coming, looking at you. This is sort of turning your head and looking at this piece here. Once again, we've got the existing building in addition. So treatment of the facade here. This was formerly brick. We did switch this to siding. We do need some, this is one of the locations along here. We need some new openings to accommodate the new unit layouts. And then we have the new door to the, this will be a club room to get out to the resident patio. Moving to the townhouses, which actually are closest to the entry. So really sticking with a 2.5 story look. You know, not doing the full 3 stories here, making sure the roof lines come down. These reading as dormers, bringing the spring points down below the head height, but giving enough room for the bedrooms on the upper level. And then the side elevation, you can see these images show a little bit of it's a little hard to read the difference in the color, and I'll get to those, the difference in that with the images of the 3D images. So for a palette, so really early in the design, we're not quite sure what the final selections are going to be, but if you're using a fiber cement, it would be this sort of palette of gray and bluish gray, and similarly with the vinyl option as well, it'd be the same sort of a treatment. Obviously, these are subject to final selections, final manufacturer selections. Everybody has a little bit of different twinges of color, but the idea is we'd be using a pre-finished product in either case, obviously. And then we have the brick, which is existing, and we'd match that for the new brick in the one area, which I can show you in the rendering. Windows have a high efficiency vinyl hung windows with muntins. Trim would be PVC, white PVC, and then the roof would be an architectural asphalt shingle, very close to the existing. So here is a view of the project as you come around the bend and starting to get into the courtyard space. So existing building ends here. The addition is also broken up. The massing's broken up, but it creates a nice sort of courtyard area to sort of capture and create a nice, almost like an outdoor room for the residents to use. This is swinging around a little bit further. You can see this is the location. You can see the 3 locations of the brick masonry, keeping the masonry here, having it maintained on the entry that we'll maintain, and then sort of capping, if you will, the end of the facade, much like this is over here, so that this all ties together. So we have, you know, brick treatment, specialty area brick treatment. So just sort of working with the existing building and creating something that ties together and is contiguous. Here's a view of the entry. So this is largely maintaining the existing, nice entablature, pilasters, the brick to remain, proposing here to add a little bit of brick. This is right now it's programmed as a leasing leasing here and clubroom here, and we are changing this from the existing to accommodate the new windows. And here is a 3D view of the townhouses as you come in. So proposing to use those same colors on the flats building, so the project sort of hangs together. Doing some simple panel detailing between the windows. Once again, having things hang together a bit. These are shorter than the existing. These are, using new construction sort of typical floor-to-floor heights, not tying in like in the flats building. We had to tie into those existing. So this is about 32 feet to the midpoint of the roof here, whereas the flats building is about 40 feet to the midpoint of the roof. So, so it's a little bit of difference in height. So the height and mass steps down as you get closer to the public realm here. And that's pretty much the presentation. Happy to take any questions or comments.
I have just a question about the height. Isn't the height requirement like 35 feet?
Yeah, so we so this is a 40B, however, and so we'll be submitting for a waiver here. There was some question during the ZBA process of whether or not what the definition of the height is. This roof here is actually concealing a flat roof behind. So the question is going to be whether or not some municipalities measure the roof from the flat portion of the roof, the actual roof structure, and would call this a mechanical screen, and some others just treat it as a roof. So the building inspector and I have to connect on that. So we may be able to eliminate that waiver, but if not, we'll have a waiver for that, given the fact that it's an existing in-place structure.
Right, and it's not going any higher than what's existing?
Exactly. Yeah,
And
really
what about-
following the existing approach here. You can see the roof
And
lines.
that's fine. What about on the townhouses? Isn't that 35-foot maximum? Or is that going for a waiver as well?
No, that's we meet that because we're 32 feet to the midpoint of the slope roof. So that's definition is from the midpoints of the slope
Not in
roofs.
Orleans. Not in Orleans, it's not. It's from the ground. It's from the pre-existing grade on the street side to the ridge. But I mean, that's a building
So if that,
inspector.
yeah, so I'm
question.
sorry, I'm getting, deal or town merge. So yeah, if that is the case, then yes, we would be required to meet that. Yeah, usually, I get confused. Yeah, usually 2.5 stories, they're usually going to the midpoint of the ridge, but yeah, not all the same. So yeah, if it's from the point here to the grade, I believe I am at 37 feet, but that's the new grade. So we'd have to evaluate the existing grade. So we-
Right.
May I
And-
ask a
and-
question?
Go
Can
ahead,
Steve
Steve.
ask a question?
Yeah.
Thank you. Steve asks if all the other members understand what a 40B is.
No.
I can explain very briefly, and I'm not an expert on it, but it is a case in which a zoning board of appeals grants a blanket permit for construction when low-income housing is going to be part of the mix if the town doesn't have enough low-income housing proportionately, then the 40B is automatically granted. So some of the questions that we're talking about height would be part of the waiver that was mentioned. And so we really wouldn't have very much control over that. I'd like to just make one other comment about the height, which Bernadette noticed, and it does exceed the height limitation. It's correct. It'll be to the ridge or the top of the parapet. But I want to point out that it appears that the buildings will be highly visible from the Mid-Cape Highway, whether that's good or bad, something that we should look forward to, or something that will look like an urban vision for Orleans. I leave up to discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Yeah, just
All the buildings will be visible or just the townhouses?
All buildings will be visible from the Mid-Cape.
Thank you.
You're talking about the Mid-Cape, sorry, I get to the, let me see if I can get to the, you're talking about the Mid-Cape on the west side of the site here, right?
That's correct, yep.
Yeah, so this part of the site is actually, so we're following the lead of the existing building here, where let me get back to the site plan, sorry. I think it shows well in the site plan. Okay, yeah, so so as you saw in the existing images, it's 2 stories along, all along here, all the way here, and then 3 stories in the back. So we are doing some regrading, dropping the grade a bit. The current grading starts to rise about here, so we're pulling that back a bit, able to accommodate it without any new retaining walls here. And then the grade will rise up here. So this whole blank area here is blank because there are no units there because it's below grade. So in that case, we would have 3 stories along this part of the new addition and only 2 stories in the back here. So the building is not, visually not as tall because the grade does rise up here.
But you don't show the highway in your site plan. You don't, is there still a buffer of trees between the highway and the back of the building?
Right, so this is an actual aerial image. So it's not, no artist rendering here. So this edge here is a true buffer. I think the scale of when I come off the presentation to the aerial view is probably pretty close to the edge.
Mhm.
But that's a pretty significant buffer.
Yeah,
This is Joe.
I just went to the Google Maps, and I didn't necessarily look like those trees are pretty mature there. I'm not sure you would be able to see it from the highway, but
It's about 20 feet lower, the highway.
It's
Okay.
20 feet lower. Thank you.
Yeah, yep.
It is amazing you can get into the site here. I can't do it. We can.
Oh,
yeah, it's a pretty robust I don't know, tree lines there.
And Andrew, maybe you could drop that onto the highway and look from that perspective.
Perhaps I can. Let's see.
Yeah, testing his technology skills. I don't know.
No, under pressure here.
I did it, but if I had to do it on the screen, I don't think I'd be able to do it.
Come on, you can show off.
No, you're too far up the highway. There you go.
Interesting. Yeah, it is a drop here, right? They're blurring out the they're blurring out a sign or.
So it doesn't appear you can see the existing building. And we're not going any higher than the existing building, although we'll be
And
closer.
are you going past that parking lot with your building? Like, can you superimpose your building on top of that parking lot?
Yeah, so it's essentially, so we're taking the roadway, we're easing it this way so that you don't get confused with this as the front entry, and we're giving the presence of the townhouses like a street presence, but it more or less follows this parking line. Let me
But yeah, sorry, this is Michelle Crowley, but the building does end just a little bit past that parking lot. So that buffer is all just staying there. We're not touching it. It'll be roped off, so no construction can damage any of the trees in there.
Are you adding any more trees to that buffer?
Not to that buffer. No, we would, unless there's room,
Yeah, the fire department won't let us because it's a fire. It's a means of.
Right.
Fire lane.
Yeah, it's a fire lane.
No, I meant
It's a
closer
fire,
to
it's
the
a
highway.
fire lane, but it's planted, right? It's planted, it's got those, it's planted with grass, right? The fire lane?
the fire lane is it's those concrete pavers that have grass inside them. So that's sort of the hatch that we used there. But the edge of the property line, it pretty much goes to almost the edge of the property line. So there isn't room to put trees within the property line on that edge there.
Mhm.
But this is an area, actually you can see the highway right in the left-hand corner where it says amenities. You can see the highway right there. So if we just pulled back a hair on this drawing, you'd see that the highway is right there. So it's about the same buffer that exists right now.
Just to comment once more on the height, this is Steve speaking. I'm looking at the elevation drawings and comparing the noted elevations to those on the Town of Orleans GIS maps. And there's a very good correlation. It's right in, well, I'm pointing at my screen, which I can't do, but I think we're starting at EL 71 and going up to EL 106, plus adding 8 feet for the parapet roof, which gives us EL 114 for the top of the addition units, as I understand it. And elevations along the highway there are in the area of 66 feet. So it'd be interesting to do a projection looking at it from where the cursor is. I'm using, in other words, the noted elevations, and again, the reference with the Town of Orleans GIS, which is very instructive to look at it from that point of view, does show that. So again, I leave that up to others to decide whether that's important.
We froze.
I'm just sitting still.
So that's 60, 80
Are there
foot
any
buffer
other-
right now.
are there
So
any other boards that you have to go through? You're going back to the Board of Appeals and you've already been through site plan review and they've approved.
Yes.
And the
Yeah,
Board of Appeals gave you, was there any feedback there?
Well, to clarify, the site plan review has been approved. ZBA, we're going back next week.
Oh, okay, but you went once.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, and some of the some of the changes that Andrew went through are a result of that meeting as well. So there was some from that meeting, some of the site plan review. So we introduced it. We wanted to do that. We introduced it. We wanted to go through site plan review. We wanted to come to you guys before we went back to the ZBA, which we're going to do next week.
Right.
And to follow up on what I think it was Stephen, you were talking about the comprehensive, the 40B. So when it's called a comprehensive permit, specifically because the idea is that that all of the permits are done through the ZBA. So that's another part of the 40B process.
Yep. And at that ZBA hearing, hi, this is Rio again. There weren't any comments on the elevations or the height of the addition, nor for the townhomes. It was, they just wanted us to clarify what they were and include it in our waiver request.
Right. I just have one question for Andrew. Did you think about any different uses of materials on the townhouses, like shingles and clapboard, or, you know, mixing it up, maybe something vertical, you know, and then something horizontal? You've got all the same material, just different colors.
Yeah, it was an early consideration. We thought about it more, just trying to tie the sort of project together a little bit more by sticking with the lap siding and, you know, pulling in some of the panel siding as well. The structures are kind of simple. They play well with a sort of more traditional, it's not really a colonial form. You don't really get that 2.5 story out of a colonial, but it's also not a shingle style, and we're not on the water front here, so we didn't want to force a you know, a look just to incorporate a different material. So yeah, we did consider it though.
I like the design. I'm glad that it doesn't match the main building in any way, shape, or form. I'm glad that it doesn't. And as far as using the use of shingles, it's not shingle style, but everything on the Cape is shingles if you drive around Orleans. So it's you know, it could be appropriate to throw some shingles in there. And I like the different colors for sure. And I do like the hardy plank, I think, better than vinyl. I'm not, you know, vinyl, I don't know, too much plastic in the world, but that's up to you guys. And
I hear you.
you know, we just had another medical center come before us, and they listened to everything that they said, and they incorporated metal roofs, cupolas, which are very popular in Orleans. It's kind of like an Orleans thing, is a cupola. And they put some cupolas on the building, and they mixed it up with shingles and vertical siding, and it really was a beautiful end product. Then what came for the preliminary review was very vanilla, and what the second rendition was, the architect really got creative with the materials, and it was a really nice end product. So just food for thought.
Thank you.
I have anybody else? This is Debbie. I have a question on that, on the townhouses. I'm not sort of following the line down the middle. I'm looking at the scale drawings. And there's I don't know the exact terminology, but a white piece of trim board.
Yeah, this is a vertical piece of trim. Yep. That's at the demising wall, but certainly not.
Do you have to have that?
Not required.
I'm just thinking the idea of just in small tweaks, minimizing the verticality of everything.
Sure. I think it's a great idea.
Like eliminate that altogether, and maybe, well, I think on the things that look like dormers, that pitch, I think you said you need that for the headroom. If you do, you do.
Right.
But if you didn't, maybe flattening that out a little bit, more like the entry roof line. So maybe it wasn't quite so Washington Monument, kind of.
Flattening this center, this piece here.
No,
I'd make it steeper.
You'd make it steeper. So there you go. It's all aesthetic.
I'd make the dormer steeper, go right up to the ridge. But
I guess it's not the dormer. I was calling them, because from the front on the drawings, it looks like a dormer coming off the front. The two ends. I'm pointing at my screen, which I realize now does nothing.
That's a gable.
The gable. All right. Yeah. It just I don't know. To me, it's all expressing all this verticality that maybe we don't want that much. I don't know. I guess I'd have to see what it looked like too.
Right.
And I don't know, maybe you'd consider painting the doors a color or
Yeah,
or
that's a
maybe
great idea.
maybe renters could be it. The scale drawing looks nice, but the entry doors look a little commercial. How does it work? Do you come in, is one door like an actual door into the townhouse and the other one goes upstairs or something? How does it?
So
How is it set up?
sure. It's so first of all, the doors in I think the original submission were almost shown in glazed, which is not correct. They do want
Yeah.
solid doors for the front door.
Yeah.
Love your comment about color on the doors. It's great idea. The white tends to get dirty quickly. We're looking at a panel door here to something to stick with the overall look of the project. And yeah, each unit gets its own entry. So
I see.
1, 2, 3, 4 units. Some of them on the one building we're accommodating a handicap unit. So we need, when we do projects, if we have 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, and we have a certain percentage of handicap or accessible units, we need to make sure there's a 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom. So one of the buildings, reason why the townhouses are not exactly the same. So one of the units enters here and it's actually on a flat and wraps around all the way here. And then this door goes up to a multi-story unit above. So some of them you go in and it's right on the flat, and the other ones you go in and there's a ground floor that's at the level, and generally we try to make them what they call visitable. This image is still a little bit off because we do 0 entry stoops here to try to get it so that somebody with wheelchair needs can go visit somebody. And so the entry door, there's a bathroom on the half bath on the first level with the correct size door. All the spaces are accessible to a visitor. And we do that as much as practicable with these building types. So that's generally the way they work.
And these are all rental units, right?
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah. I do know I visited the Eastham complex, and I thought the interiors of the apartment that we saw in the common space were really very well done.
Thank
Very
you.
nice. We have nothing to do with that. It's just,
These guys on the phone do. TAT's the guys that designed it, so that's why I'm bringing them here too. So
Okay.
They're
Yeah,
gonna-
I thought the
they're gonna-
apartment was really lovely. It was spacious. It was like a real apartment that a real family could live in. And
people have loved them. They love the units there. They're 100% occupied. We've got a wait list there. People are really happy with those units.
And similar thing there, we had all direct entries. All the units that had a ground floor to use were all visitable. We upsized the half baths than what we normally see to make sure that we have a sort of what they call a group 1 bathroom, which is usable by those with needs. So those are worked out well.
I have just one more comment, and then I'm pass to the next person. But on your renderings, your trim looks quite nice. And on the scale drawings, I think the trim looks kind of skimpy. So I don't know what the answer is there, but
Wait, can you say it again? I lost you there. You said that where it's so it's not consistent, you think, with what the two drawings?
I don't, in the way it's being presented, I don't know what the trim size is. It to me, to my eye, it looks a little skimpy on the scaled drawings.
So
a little too narrow.
Sure. So this is where also this is not up for artistic rendering. The programs we use, we use a program called Revit. It's a 3D building, and so that same building gets dropped in to this other rendering program. So it should be the same. The only thing that I know was tweaked a bit. The Revit model these were not looking very well. They looked like they were projecting from the the facade, although I think my coworker fixed that both in the Revit model. So it should be, they should match. But I'm not sure where.
Okay.
We can always double check that. We're not trying to trick or
Okay.
do anything
No, I
fancy
understand.
here, so.
I just want to make sure we are seeing what we're approving.
Absolutely. No, totally understood.
If anybody else has any comment? Nancy, you're muted.
Thank you very much, Deb. I just have a
Yeah.
few questions. I agree with Bernadette that if given a choice between hardy board and vinyl, certainly hardy board would be preferred over vinyl. But would these buildings be vinyl and then the main buildings be hardy board, or did you just decide? You know,
Yeah, so I think, we're still feeling our way through that. I mean, one thing to keep in mind is, the resources are, as you know, when you do affordable housing, are always challenging. It's always, they're very scarce. So, oftentimes vinyl is a good alternative because it's a lower cost point, and it's not your grandfather's, Oldsmobile anymore. The vinyl is not what used to be when people used to use it. So we still will use that. If we can use hardy plank, if we can use it here and on the main building, that we absolutely will. So that's our goal, actually, is to try to use hardy plank. And so we're trying to move the project in a direction that we can do that. Because I know that that's what people prefer, and that's what obviously you prefer and other people have preferred. So that's going to be our goal.
And I drove in around the property, and I want to compliment you for taking an institutional looking building and making it look livable. I was driving around, I was wondering how you were going to do that. And, I mean, because it looks like a 1960 college dormitory right now, but you did it. And, making the front look like the front right now, it's really confusing, but that's history. That will be gone. I know that.
Well, I was hanging out with Andrew the other day, and he said 8 years of college down the drain. So
that's it. There you go. There you go. Do you have any plans to put sidewalks on West Road?
We're
talking about making Orleans a walkable town. You have one path, and that's a good thing to Shaw's.
They're not there now? There's no sidewalks out there now?
I don't think so, but
let's put up the Google map. Let's see.
I've been on this street and it does stop. Oh no, it goes down here. I did walk.
It goes across and then it comes up and then it stops. With the construction, I think maybe some of it was moved.
Looks like it's all in place.
It's all in place. Well, if you could just, keep that in mind as far as Orleans is trying to make it a more walkable town. And certainly to be able to walk around and to the front of the Skaka corners would be terrific.
Andrew and Mish, do we have room on that boulevard to put a sidewalk there? Or no, it's really tight. We see our goal is really to try to keep that boulevard, but on our site.
We do have sidewalks connecting to that area. Let me
put the site. Can you put that back up?
Sure thing.
Yeah, better to keep the boulevard.
Yeah, okay, good.
Yeah, so we do have a connector.
We do have the sidewalk.
I'm sorry, this should go all the way because this does exist here.
Okay.
As
we typically, that'll be concrete for us. That won't be asphalt. We'd use concrete.
Just whatever you can do to continue the continuity so it's walkable.
Okay.
That's great.
We don't have one on the other side, though.
What's that, Mish? Can we
We
do
don't
one?
have a walk on the other side. So if you were walking around to Skakit Corner, there's not a sidewalk on the south side of the boulevard.
I think what's missing, so if you look at this, you're talking about this does not have a sidewalk, where today it does exist. So maybe it's just a matter of updating our plan to
No, not that one. I'm saying all the way down now into the site. Like we don't
Oh, into
have
the site.
sidewalks on both sides of this boulevard.
Gotcha.
And
Mm.
it's pretty tight over there. We're trying to keep as much of that existing vegetation that
Yeah.
in there.
Mhm.
Right.
So if somebody wanted to walk from these apartments out to West Road, what path would they take?
They would cross, and exactly, yeah. So they'd cross at the crosswalk there and go in front of the townhouses out. And if they're
Okay.
going to Skakit Corner, they would take the steps down. Those exist right now.
And they're going to be steps.
Those are steps.
They are steps.
So there's an existing there. You guys probably know this, but there's an existing connection there with stairs, and we're gonna. It's actually not on our property, as you can see, but we're gonna. Our goal is to fix them to make sure that they work, and we'll work with the abutter there to get access to do that.
Okay, so if you can't climb stairs, there's no level way of walking over.
Well, you can walk
Yeah, I mean,
around.
yeah, I mean, I mean, it's not ideal, right? I mean, in an ideal world, it would be on the south side, but we have to have sidewalks on the north side, right? Because we have townhomes there, and I don't think,
Right.
and I don't think we have room to do on both sides, just because how tight it is with the boulevard. But
Right.
as me showed you, if you were mobility impaired and couldn't do those stairs, you could cross over there, walk out there, and then come down that way.
Okay. All right. I just was trying to
Yeah, there's-
figure out how.
Still away.
And I like the boulevard too, but you're right. You only have so much space to do so much.
Right.
The other question I had, is there going to be signs, a name to the property, numbers, those types of, is there going to be anything that labels this? How, building numbers?
Well, I mean, Rio, well, each building should have its own address, right? I mean, our goal is that each of the townhouses, right, Rio?
Yes, that's correct. Yep. And we don't currently show a monument sign at the entrance, I believe, on this landscape plan.
Right.
But that is part of our plan and our scope of work is to have a monument sign. At the entrance, we haven't identified a new name for the residential development yet, but that's where we would highlight the name. And we typically work with the local fire departments on the building identification, and we haven't gotten to that stage yet. It didn't come up in our site plan review, but usually there's some preferred approach that they would like to see how the buildings are numbered to make it easy for them to quickly go to whatever unit they get called to and not get lost.
Sure.
So that'll be a kind of a collaborative approach as we develop drawings closer to the building permit submission.
Okay, and at some point then, whatever sign you're planning to put out towards West Road, you'll be showing that to this committee?
Yeah, if we need to get a sign permit, we'll absolutely do that. That'll be a little ways down the road, but we will definitely do that.
Okay, and what about lighting? Will we also see a little bit more about lighting with the property?
I'm sorry, Mish, you can go ahead.
Yeah, we haven't fully decided on the lighting yet, but we are proposing where the yellow lights are would be a post light. And then where the blue ones are would be a lower bollard light. We've got a couple ideas that we're working with that we sent for the ZBA, and we haven't finalized that yet.
Okay, I was just curious. And landscaping is what is before us now on the screen.
Correct.
Let's see what else. I just have one maybe silly question. What's the difference between a workforce apartment and an apartment?
So the workforce apartments are for people who don't normally qualify for typical standard affordable housing, which is usually people who make 80% or less than 80 to less than 60% of what we call the area's median income. So the
Okay.
average income in the area. The workforce housing is more for folks who make at the median income. So they make typically around, I guess, 100% of that area's median income.
Okay. All right. So it's a qualifying nomenclature for the apartments that exist.
That's
It's an
right.
income qualification. Okay. Thank you very much. I have no other questions.
Anyone else? So that being said, we look forward to the final review.
So can we, yeah, thank you. So just in terms of time, I'm not, when you say final review, just to go through the process, we went before the ZBA initially, and then we were actually planning to go back last month. We're planning to go back, as Rio said, on the 17th. And hopefully that'll be our final approval. Went before the Board of Selectmen. And so that's our plan is hopefully to get final approval on the 17th for the plan. Having said that, where this is always a work in progress, and, we're doing it in a collaborative way. And so we're always happy to come back. But if you had any other comments or feedbacks for us that you want us to incorporate for the 17th, we're happy to do that.
Well,
I guess-
our next meeting is the 25th. So this is a preliminary review, where we're not voting. We're just, giving feedback and asking questions. And then you'll come back we meet twice a month. We meet the second and fourth Thursday of the month. So you will come back for a final review, and then you will give us your samples of your materials, your color samples. You'll submit those, and anything else, your lighting selection, anything else that you want us to vote on, and then we will take a vote. It's not going to be up in the air. It's not going to be, well, maybe we're going to do this and maybe we're going to do that. You're going to come to us with what you are going to do. Right. Because we've had that problem. We've had it with the police station. We've had it numerous times where we've approved something and then they went and did a switch and they used other materials and other balusters and stuff that we never would have approved of. And the whole town hates it. Or 90% of the town hates it.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
what you're going to come to us with is what you're going to be using.
Yeah, can I ask a process question? Is that typically, we've seen this in other municipalities too, that usually falls between our drawing development and before we submit for a building permit? Is that the same here? Is that the typical time to do that? It's not at zoning.
It's before, it's part of getting the building permit.
Right, so it's more tied to the building permit, procurement, and a requirement, I guess, if you will, an approval that the building department or building inspector can say, hey, okay, I see the ARC is happy with these selections, and then you can cross-check our specifications even if you needed to or had to, and yeah, okay.
Right. So if you're submitting a plan and you're saying, oh, we're going to use an 8-inch overhang, and then you decide, oh, no overhang, it's too expensive, we're going to do a flat trim, we're not going to be happy.
Right.
So you're going to tell us exactly what you're going to use. You're going to use, a 1x8 piece of trim, a 1x10. You're going to have a 12-inch, overhang. You're going to get a lot more specific, and you're going to supply samples of the materials that you're going to use on the exterior of the building. If you want to, take any of our suggestions into play, fine. If you don't, that's fine too. If you want to leave the colors that you have and leave it all, a hardy plank, you don't want to put in any, shingles, that's fine. It's just that you're going to submit what you're going to do. You're not going to submit one thing and then change it and say, oh,
right.
Well, we found some cheap shingles on solid, bargain of bargains, and we're gonna use those.
No, totally love the process. Yeah, it makes sense. The drawings will be advanced.
That's not, yeah,
We'll have
that's actually how we,
the contractor will have priced what I've drawn. We'll get, maybe they've got to buy out the shingle guy or the hardy plank guy a little early or whatever. Just so we know which manufacturer, or if it has to be vinyl. Hopefully not, but yeah, it makes a lot of sense where we're coming in with a developed set of documents that we've priced, and we will be submitting very shortly after to the building department as a representation of what we are going to construct. So it makes a
and
lot
let
of
me
sense.
just say, we're Bernadette, we're not a bait and switch developer. If we were, we wouldn't be doing this, very long.
Right.
I mean, we're interested, we're always interested in what our next deal is, right? And so if we're going to do our next deal, we got to do right by you on this deal. So,
Right.
that's not how we roll. So.
And we're happy with the drawings, but
Sure.
what happened with other, projects where we approved it, and then, they moved things around because it was, somebody didn't like this and somebody didn't like that. We got the mechanical room right on the street with all these pipes and stuff coming out of the building, right in where everybody drives by.
Yeah. Great example. Yep.
Yep.
So we're more careful now about what we
Sure.
approve.
Sure.
And we're a little bit, and that's why we'd like to have the color samples. You
Sure.
don't need to, you don't need to, unless you're changing something drastically, you don't need to send in, more plans. But if you decided to
Yeah.
change, something up, we're really concerned with the aesthetics of it. We don't care about, the floor plans as much. And, all of that stuff it was nice that you submitted it, but you didn't need to. You could have saved your paper and not had,
For the preliminary
we can
review.
give
Yep. Understood.
back. We can return these to the town hall if you need any of them for other committees or,
Yes,
let us
yes,
know.
we could do that. Yes.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think one of the, what you're saying does not change that, our timeline and all. So that's absolutely fine. What you're saying, I understand now. So.
We need
So we
photographs
have-
of the lights.
And we've already advertised it. So when you come back, it's already been advertised. I don't think it needs to be advertised again. When you come back, you're just coming for a final review. This was a preliminary review where we can just, throw out some ideas and
Sure.
and
Sure.
we didn't have a lot of them at all. And
Yeah.
then you'll just come back for a final review and submit just your color samples and anything else, your lighting. If you had a picture of your, your exterior lighting and your ground lighting, once you choose that, and then we just do a final review. And then when you come, when you have signs, if you want a sign permit, then you come back again, and that's only just one meeting.
Yeah. So it sounds like, so I just want to be clear. So as we part tonight, if we just make sure that all those things you mentioned, I want to make sure that we have a comprehensive list so that, when we do come back, it's, productive use of your time, as well. So is there that all those things you mentioned, is it like a list online that we should get, or?
No, it's really just suggestions, and you can really
Okay.
do exactly what you want to do. I mean, it's completely up to you. I mean, I really, the only suggestions was really the use of materials and
And
if you wanna
removing
change-
that vertical
Sure.
piece of trim
Yeah.
and nicer
Okay.
doors.
So I'll ask my team.
Open the doors,
So because this stuff's above my pay grade. Turn to the professionals. So Andrew, Joe, and Mish, was there anything that Bernadette mentioned that you wanted clarity on, or you know what we need to get them for the next time?
And maybe you haven't spent time in Orleans, but if you do spend any time, if you come down here and drive around, look at the use of materials.
Yes.
Yes.
That's just a suggestion, because I think that those townhouses would be nice with some other, not all the lap. Because the townhouses are their own entity. They have nothing to do with the big building with the brick and the You know,
Right.
that the townhouses are their own little cute little townhouses.
Aren't they nice? We like them.
They don't
I
have
like
to
it.
match, they don't have to match the main building exactly. You could be a little bit
Right.
more creative in the patterns that you have on the buildings.
Even if in just those peaks that I wanted you to make flatter, but Bernadette liked tall, maybe put some.
Well, I
can't-
like.
We
I
can't
like-
satisfy you both.
shingle.
You guys are gonna have to pick one or the other.
Put some shingle
great-
in those
that's a
peaks with a little,
roof.
you know, over like that fish scale thing. Look, not
Oh,
fish
I see. I
scales.
know what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah.
I'd like to comment about the peaks, please. This is Steve. I think you'll find that the so-called 12 pitch, the very steep roof, not too common on Cape Cod. That's more of an inland thing. Typically, you would see something like a 10 pitch, and that would probably bring the ridgeline down to coincide with the comment Bernadette made as to having the dormer simply go to the ridge. I assume this is all going to be truss work up there, but it could save you a few bucks.
I like the 12 pitch. My house is a 12 pitch. And half of the houses that I design have 12 pitches.
Mine's a 10 pitch and I prefer it.
All right, we'll do 11. We'll do 11.
Split down the middle.
And when you come back, when you have a listing of trees and shrubs, if you can give us a little bit more detail about what kind of trees, what kind of shrubs, that would be nice too.
You know, deciduous shrub number 1 is not sufficient for you? Is that?
No.
Yeah, we're not at that point yet, but
right.
all of the trees and shrubs will be native plantings.
That's great, but if you could spell it out, we
will. We
Yeah,
have
absolutely,
to.
yep.
So
sure.
Yeah.
I know, but I didn't expect that tonight, but in the future.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for coming, and
Well, thanks for having us. We
This is a
appreciate
really
it.
exciting project, I think, for Orleans, in my opinion.
Yeah, you know, and I just want to add, you know, this, you know, we need to give credit where credit's due. I mean, the town, you know, all the things that we're doing came out of the studies that the town did, right? I mean, this was a property that was studied for a long time, and there was committees and groups that put plans together. And if you sort of scroll all this back, you know, we worked off of the, you know, sort of whatever the town that there were like 5 different plans that, you know, kind of came out. And then within those, there was like options A, B, and C. And so we picked up the plan and the option that the town wanted the most. And we worked off of that one to come up, you know, with the scheme. So, you know, we
Who gets
appreciate
to
all
name the property?
Well, I was going to say, you give us some suggestions.
Or some money.
Well, money's good too. You can give me money and suggestions. You know, they don't have to go together.
It's like the healthcare center, you know, donor name here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I
well,
mean-
we should have a contest in town. Name the new, you know,
Yes.
whatever.
Develop.
So what we say at Penrose is we have veto rights, but we're also open to all suggestions. So
We have veto rights to the
veto
property in our town.
No, the son,
Just
the name, the name,
Oh, the name.
the name.
That's even funnier. Nice try. No, it's going to be terrific.
Great.
Yeah.
But on a serious note, we always, if there is an opportunity there is a particular name or something, we're always happy to hear those. So we don't have pride of authorship on the name. So
Is Meph Runyon still in on this meeting?
Yeah,
We'll have
haven't
to
heard
let
anything
the
from
selectmen know. We'll have to let the selectmen know that you're open to suggestions for naming the property.
I mean, it's so great for the town to have 62 units, and there's no place for people to live.
It's hugely
no
important, yeah.
housing.
Yeah.
There's no housing for, people who, there's no year-round housing, and it's so overpriced, and they're dumps. the ones that are out there, because I just try to help a friend find a place, and it was virtually impossible. And I called everybody that I know, and I know a lot of people, and I know a lot of people with rentals, and they were dumps, or else they were so expensive that a single 65, 66-year-old woman could not afford anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm so
Well-
happy that you're doing this.
Yeah, I mean, one other thing, I mean, this is a little bit sort of outside the four corners of this, but when you're on that general subject, I mean, one of the things that we really appreciate with the Cape, and it's really what it's consistent with what the governor's sort of goals are, is to think of housing as a regional issue, not just a town issue. And so, to that end, the work that we did in Eastham actually benefited from the town Orleans financial contribution. So Orleans provided some CPC money for that development, as well as Wellfleet for that development. And so there are people from Wellfleet and Orleans that are actually living there. And so then the same is true here. I mean, I say that in two reasons. One is that, this is going to take a while to get built. So if you have other people that are looking for housing, you can send them over to Eastham. It's not that far away. And then when this is built, they can come here. But the other thing is that, this, we are looking for, as you had heard, CPC money for this transaction. And we've been approved, and it's going to be on the town, at the town meeting on the May warrant. But we also have been reaching out to the 7 other towns in Lower Cape to ask for support as well. And the town of Eastham has reciprocated with funds for this project for approved for $100,000, and that's going to be on the meeting warrant, the town meeting warrant in May. And we've made presentations to Chatham and to Truro, I believe. Is that right, Rio? Am I getting those?
Provincetown.
Provincetown, I apologize. So Provincetown and Chatham. And there were some deadlines already passed, but we're planning to pick those up next year for the other towns and make applications to them as well. So
Great.
Good.
Well, we look forward to you coming back.
great. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Ready.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
for the
have a good
input.
night.
Appreciate
Good
it.
evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
Night.
Okay, folks. Bye.
All right, guys, so we've got the minutes to approve from February 25th. Everybody have a copy of those?
Right. Yeah. Whoops. This is Paige. I move approval of the minutes. February 25th.
Anyone want a second?
This is Debbie, I'll second. Move it along.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bernadette? Aye. Paige?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Nancy?
Aye.
Deb?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0-0. Very good.
So you-
All right, well,
Do you think
any
they
other
want these
business?
drawings? Do you think they want these plans back? Ay, ay, ay.
Well, we should hold on to them because when they come back for a final review, if they haven't changed anything, that they want us to see, these will be the plans that will be, for the final review. I mean, really, the only thing they have to submit is the color samples.
Mm. Okay.
And
Can I
like,
make,
And
one
lighting.
one comment?
Yeah, go ahead.
I happen to be looking at the state guidelines for the 40B. And I think I might have tried to send it to you, Bernadette. It's really quite interesting, and it bears on other aspects. It's available if you Google 40B, or if you would like to see it, I'd be glad to circulate it.
Yeah, I know that they're exempt from a lot of like
think they're
zoning
exempt
things, you know, as
from
far as
everything.
the houses can be closer together. You
But they
know,
have design guidelines that are similar to ours, but deal with a larger, more urban scale of problems. And as I say, I knocked it down from something like 28 megabytes to 2.3. So if anybody would like to see it,
I would, Steve. I'd like to learn more about it.
okay, if it's appropriate, Bernadette, I'll circulate it.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
great.
that sounds great.
Thank you.
They did a good job. I mean, the main building, you know, is what it is, and they just you know, added on to what was there. But I do like the townhouses. I do wish that they were receptive to some change of materials.
I
Yeah.
thought the townhouses were going to be privately owned, but they're going to be rentals.
I think they're all
I
going to
think
be rentals. Who said
Yeah,
They're going to be, they're going to be market rate. That's the difference.
Okay.
Oh, the
All right.
townhouses?
The townhouses, the market rate,
Or
and the
market
big
rate
building.
rentals. That was my understanding, although what he was saying tonight makes me question that. So maybe that changed. I'm not sure.
I mean, the townhouses are 3-bedroom. Isn't that what it said in the plans? That each one is 3 bedrooms?
Right.
So,
But
I
he
mean,
also
those
was saying that
those
they
are
have to have a
definitely
certain
But I mean,
percentage of handicap
there's gonna be a
accessible.
lot more housing in Orleans, which is great because I have another client who is going to turn an office building. She's got 4 offices and she's going to the Board of Appeals to get it turned into 4 apartments. So there'll be another
Great.
building right in town.
Oh, that's great.
It'll either be 4 1-bedroom apartments, or she could do, you know, a 3 units, and one of them could be 2 bedrooms.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's terrific.
Great.
Well, those condos behind the 3 fools that we reviewed, I think it was 2 or 3 out of that one building, they all sold.
Oh, they did?
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
They all
Because I
sold. Yeah.
kept seeing one showing up on the listings, and it was like, oh man, we said it was great, and then she didn't sell it. But I'm
I
glad
think the
Well,
last one just sold.
She was asking a
Awesome.
lot of money.
She
What
was.
was really expensive, weren't they?
They were, and they sold,
Yeah.
which, you know, good for her, but
Well, that's not affordable. You know, I'm
No.
just.
no,
And
but I'm saying taking one building and putting it in, you know, cutting it up into separate apartments, just
Yeah.
like an office building. I was amazed that these designs came out as well as they did, because when you drive in there and look at this institution, it looks almost like a prison building. But it looks like they really, you know, made it look livable. I'm curious too, who's going to actually run this facility?
Well,
I
don't
believe
they run it?
Penrose runs it. They,
They
like
run
in
it.
Eastham, they have a staff person, or they hire somebody who's like a property manager, but also does programming,
Okay.
on-site programming. It was, you know, kind of interesting, actually.
Yeah, I regret not asking them that, but it had nothing to do with the agenda. But I was just curious, how do they manage this building? And you know,
They probably have like a super. I mean, if they're rental units, they have to have, you know, maintenance people, and
right,
you know, they have to have people. If your plumber gets stopped up, you call the maintenance
right.
people.
You'd have to have an association that governs, you know, what you could put on the windows and what you could do to your doors. And I would imagine there's all kinds of rules that are going to be in place.
Well, it may be like the townhouse. I mean, we have our own, you know, town of Orleans has a housing authority. So, I mean, it could be something like that, but it's owned privately. I mean, it's
Right.
not the town. The town isn't going to own this, is it? I mean,
I don't
not
know.
like-
I don't know. I'm gonna, if I find anything in writing, I'll send it out to all of you. But I'm just curious, how is it gonna be managed and who manages it? Just
Well, they
curious.
did the one in Eastham. It's probably the exact same thing.
It sounded like in the Eastham one.
Yeah, you can go over there. There's a main building that's got like the office, and there's a facility, a big room you can rent out with a kitchenette in it to have gatherings. And
Uh-huh.
I think there were actually a couple of offices. There was the program person's office, and then she was in charge of renting it also, managing the rental process.
Mhm.
I might add that Penrose is, a national concern. And these people are from the, like the Northeast region. Mr. Adams, for example, I think he's vice president for the Northeast region. If you Google Penrose, you'll find out a whole bunch of stuff. Let me put it that way.
Okay. All right, thanks, Steve.
All right, guys. Time to go home.
Yes,
Second that.
I move we adjourn.
second, to Nancy.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Take care, everybody.
0 passes. We'll see.